Jason Gilbo here at JGilbo11, taking a look at Justin Elick, aka Big Italy 42's running back analysis for FanDuel this week. I'm flying solo just due to the fact that he had a kid this week. So if you haven't already, go ahead and congratulate him on Twitter. But he still churned out a couple articles for us this week. I am just breaking them down for him. Getting right into it, we're looking at cash game running backs. Le'Veon Bell, 9,100 on the road against the Browns. 29th ranked rushing defense per Football Outsiders, 27 team total. There is some bad weather in the area. I think they predict about 30 to 40 mile per hour winds, some possible snow. So obviously I don't think that really worries you off of Bell, with the short routes, with the running game obviously in a great matchup here. So looking at Bell, finally found the end zone last week twice. You look at him; he's basically the wide receiver 2 on this team. He's been a quality yardage guy, and now we're going to get the touchdowns, and you expect to get the touchdowns this week. You look at this one, been fairly solid in the passing game. 50 targets over the last 5 weeks is phenomenal for a running back. I mean, in terms of consistency, you know what you're going to get from Bell. Great matchup. A lot of value on wide receiver on FanDuel this week. There's some good plays like Tyreek Hill. Dante Moncrief's not expensive. Andrew Luck, Marcus Mariota aren't particularly expensive. They're in the 8K range, Bortles, you name it. So Bell can be a guy who can easily plug and play this week, I think, at 9,100. If you're looking to kind of spin off of them, but still sticking with the cash game worthy running back, DeMarco Murray, 8,500 on the road against the Colts. Obviously not a good rush defense there, ranked 32nd. We have a projection for right around 17. You look at what he did last time. I mean, Murray went out there and had a solid game against the Colts. Really, he's been one of the more consistent options this season. And I don't know if it's underrated, but I mean, DeMarco Murray is having one hell of a season in terms of really touchdown and yardage production. So, Murray went for a score and 130 yards last time, saw 28 touches. I think you're going to see similar stuff in the passing game and in the rushing game. So, he scored over 16 points in FanDuel points in all but one game, and that was 12 against the Browns. So, I mean, he's been one of your more consistent options. I like him quite a bit. 8,500 is a relatively nice price. You can pay up at both running back spots if you want to go that route as well this week. GPP running backs, he's looking at LaShawn McCoy against his beloved Bengals. And I think, he'd even agree, he's done this before, that Bengals defense really hasn't been that great this year. McCoy has been solid against tough run defenses. This one's been fairly mediocre. And you really look, I mean, they're allowing, they rank 24th in yards per game allowed, to running backs this year. So you look at McCoy, I mean, it seems that he's going to be healthy heading into this week. Obviously, the bye week helped out quite a bit. In terms of yardage, he's been a high usage guy, and you got to expect that going forward. Projection here right around 15, 22.75 team total. I think the Bills are kind of a sneaky threat this week in GPPs. I talked about Tyrod Taylor. So I think you're going to kind of see that here. And overall, I mean, 7,500, really nice price tag, really nice difference from guys like Bell and Murray, and really does have, quite the upside. So McCoy, certainly a GPP play this week, worth your look. LeGarrette Blount, 7,300, he has in the GPP section. He's cash for me, but he also talks about him being, possibly cash too. So it's just more of a high upside play for a cheap price. Not really worried about ownership. In terms of upside, I mean, obviously this is a good matchup against the San Francisco defense that's allowing the most FanDuel points per game to opposing backs. And we're looking at Blount, who's obviously has, 6 touchdowns over his last 3 games. Red zone looks obviously going to be targeted, especially if Robert Gronkowski is out. I think that they're going to look at the running game. I think Martellus Bennett, those two are the safer Patriot options this week and the highest team total on the board. And we just look at this defense. They've allowed over 1,600 yards on the ground, 5.1 yards per attempt, 13 touchdowns. I think it pretty much sums it up, basically with this well-oiled machine. Value running backs, we're looking at CJ Prosise. I'm a big fan of. I talked about him on a couple pods already. Rushed the ball 17 times against his Patriots defense and saw 7 targets. He has 2 80-plus yard receiving games in the last 3. Great matchup here against Eagles in the passing game because they do rank 24th against opposing backs. Their defense has struggled on the road this year, so I think Procise in this team total, in this offense, I like him as the secondary piece. I still like Doug Baldwin as well. I think Procise in terms of just being 4,900, it's a pretty solid way to open up value this week. So I'll definitely be firing away. If you're looking for a GPP value, Todd Gurley, 6,700 taking on the Dolphins defense at home. The usage has been there. The production has not. I think this is a solid GPP play because honestly, you're looking at this game and it seems like it's going to be pretty ugly. I don't expect Miami to jump out in front and force Goff to really throw. I don't think that's going to happen this year. They're allowing 130 yards per game to opposing backs this year. Middle of the road defense. I think you're going to get them at fairly low ownership unless there are just touts on touts on touts, basically predicting the same thing, which means ownership is going to go slightly up as we've seen during this season alone. So Todd Gurley, I think in terms of a points per dollar return, there is some GPP upside for him. Looking still at about 18.5 attempts per game. He's been right around 60 yards per game, so it hasn't been smooth sailing for Gurley this year. So I do like the upside. We obviously know the talent's there for Gurley. The talent around this team is certainly something that's holding him back. So definitely keep that in mind. Low floor, but there is relatively high ceiling still with Gurley. So that's going to wrap things up with the FanDuel running back analysis for Week 11. If you want to head on over to dailyfantasycafe.com, if you want to read Justin's article, you want to see cheat sheets, you want to see our tools, definitely head on over there and check it out for Week 11.